Now, Jimmy Garoppolo, to me, is still a fascinating situation. You know, the Patriots landing Mac Jones certainly definitely pours some water on that possibility. But the idea that the 49ers could eventually get some type of asset and avoid potential awkwardness of Jimmy and Trey Lance going into this thing still will resonate over the offseason. Yes, the 49ers feel like they're better with Jimmy G going into the start of the season, but I don't know, man. I'm going to keep an eye on that one.
Well, that is, I agree with you. That's the one to keep an eye on. And Garoppolo had nice things to say on KJZ radio yesterday about sort of how Tom Brady showed him the ropes once, and he'll do the same for Trey Lance. But we'll see how the thing plays out. Ryan Clark, let me start with you on this one then. Because I think the book on Trey Lance for the longest time was he's going to need to sit when he first gets drafted. And then all of a sudden, the week of the draft, that shifted to he could be ready to start week one. In your opinion, Ryan Clark, do the 49ers have a better chance to win the Super Bowl this year with Garoppolo or Trey Lance as their quarterback?
With Trey Lance. They also have a possibility first with Trey Lance. But I believe that his ceiling is higher. I believe that some of the things that he could add to Kyle Shanahan's offense is a lot different than what Jimmy Garoppolo can. And also think of the versatility you now have with the quarterback that can run. And now if you're getting him open or getting him out in the open on those boot stretches, or you're getting opportunities for the misdirections, and you add Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, obviously protected by Trent Williams. The issue is this, right? You keep Jimmy Garoppolo around, and I think you just settle for good early. If you have some questions about Trey Lance, or you think he might not be ready, and even though you want to have that cushion there, right? You want to have that pacifier you could possibly have with Jimmy G. I believe it holds you back. When you don't have a guy like Jimmy G on the team, you draft Trey Lance third overall, you make him play, you allow him to play, and he grows on the field. And then maybe by week 17, he is that quarterback that gets you to the Super Bowl.
So, Mike T., let me ask you the question this way. Put Aaron Rodgers in the AFC. Where is San Francisco right now amongst the NFC contenders?
Oh, they're a prohibitive favorite with Tampa Bay, and here's why. Here's some sneaky big news courtesy of Hembo. Last year, the 49ers missed 68 games by defensive starters, most notably Nick Bosa, Richard Sherman, 5 different players, 68 games. That's going to be a massive improvement on defense. They could get to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo this year. I love Trey Lance, great ceiling, but this year they could get to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo and a healthy 49er defense.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Can you win it, though?
You know what's so funny? We always talk about like the Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes thing in the Chiefs and how well that worked out. But who's to say Patrick Mahomes wouldn't have just stepped in and been a baller from day one? You know, I know revisionist history makes it feel like the right situation. Trey Lance is not. I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes, but maybe he doesn't need to sit. Maybe he could go in there and just get it done right away.
Of course. I guess the answer to that question is there are some things we'll never know. What we do know is the way they did it worked out great. And
it worked out.
At this point, you wouldn't undo it under any circumstances. Mike T., go ahead. You were raising your hand. Final word.
Yeah, I think Trey Lance is going to just take a little bit of time here. He only threw 318 passes in college, played 1 game this year. A decade ago, we got criticized for taking Mark Sanchez, who played in 13 games at USC. This is not going to happen overnight. This defense is at championship caliber right now.
All right, let's leave that there for the moment. Much more as we can. Lineup. And our buddy RC loved that. He said Javonte can ball. Just keep setting it up for Aaron, Denver. Looking good. So, obviously, RC, you were thinking the same way that Bill and a lot of other people were thinking. Yeah. Let me quickly go to our GM first, though. Mike Tannenbaum, as you look at that trade, does it make sense?
It really does. It really kind of fits the bill for both sides, and here's why. I think Denver becomes a Super Bowl contender the moment that trade is made. And if you're Green Bay, you may have a young quarterback in Drew Lock, let him compete with Jordan Love, and then you have multiple first-round picks in the future. I do think Denver made a mistake in the draft, and here's why, Greeny. They should have taken that Chicago Bear trade, which was going from 20. They could have gone up to 9. Chicago would have gotten Justin Fields. Denver could have gone back to 20 and gotten either Greg Newsome from Northwestern or Caleb Farley, both really good corners, and a 1 and a 4 next year. They could have used that additionally to take Bill Barnwell's idea and build on it and given even more first-round picks to Green Bay to enhance the offer. So, and then ironically, Green Bay would have Chicago's first-round pick. So I think this is a good foundation, and this could be something that could actually get done.
All right, so RC, just take this deal, basically, and you wouldn't be taking a whole lot off of Denver's roster that they would require. Obviously, Drew Lock becomes irrelevant if you have Aaron Rodgers, and they've already traded for Teddy Bridgewater. So if you put Aaron Rodgers on the Denver Broncos right now, do they become the biggest threat to Kansas City in the AFC immediately?
You know what? I believe they do. And no, this doesn't mean that the Baltimore Ravens, the Cleveland Browns, the Buffalo Bills aren't involved. But when you look at quarterbacks, even when we watch the Buffalo Bills play the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship, you can see the difference in quarterbacks. You can see the difference in the way that they move teams. Aaron Rodgers immediately puts you on a level where you feel like going into a game against Patrick Mahomes, we might have the best quarterback today or any day of the week. And now you're thinking Cortland Sutton, you have Jerry Jeudy, obviously Hamler on the outside, Javonte Williams in the backfield, Noah Fant at tight end, and you have a defense that's getting better. Von Miller is healthy. If Eric Stokes is now the new safety, the new cornerback opposite Kyle Fuller, and obviously Justice Simmons, who is re-signed for 4 years. I believe if you put Aaron Rodgers on this team is built to win right now. And Aaron Rodgers is the type of player that gives other people on the team the confidence that a Tom Brady brought to Tampa Bay. And so if you're the Denver Broncos, you have to keep calling that phone. You have to keep texting, keep getting in Brian Gutekunst's DMs and saying, look, let's make this play. Let's make this move. Aaron does not want to play for you. Get something for him and let's move on.
And so, Jeff, I feel like Denver is the team that we keep hearing about publicly the most. The people you talk to inside the league, is the sense you get that right now the favorite to land Aaron Rodgers is Denver?
Yeah, I would say that, and it's not based on, like you've said, the conversations between Denver and the Packers, which we're unaware of at this point. It's instead the fact that, like the draft, for instance, maybe remedied a lot of quarterback situations across the league. Like I would say Chicago, for instance, would be a team, despite being a bitter rival of the Packers, and how we could fathom that as something. But they got Justin Fields, so that settles that. Like the Miami Dolphins feel like they're all in now with Tua to find out what he's got this following year. Could that change? Perhaps. Like there's dynamics and landscapes that could change, but right now it feels like the Denver Broncos are still the team that is championship caliber in need of a quarterback.
Say Shailene Woodley, I believe, it lives in Boulder, Colorado.
He will make him change his haircut. That's how bad he wants Aaron Rodgers. Listen, and I'm not mad at him. And if you're the Green Bay Packers, I know Mike T is saying maybe he doesn't like that job or he doesn't like that trade or Aaron Rodgers won't like that trade. If I'm the Green Bay Packers, I like it, right? I get Derek Carr, who I believe is a better quarterback than Drew Lock. And Aaron probably won't win as many games because he's going to get killed behind that offensive line. And so that is a real thing what Mike T is talking about with Aaron Rodgers having a seat at the table. You have to look at the team, not just the fact that the head coach likes you or loves you, but you have to look at the team and say, can I win? Aaron Rodgers is at a point in his career, still an MVP, but he's on the downside, right? He's closer to the end than the beginning, and he wants a Super Bowl. That's why the Denver Broncos trade makes more sense for Aaron Rodgers, if not the Green Bay Packers.
And super quickly, Jeff, just what for the people you do talk to, what are people around the league saying about the likeliest destinations, be it Denver, Vegas, or anywhere else?
Well, again, I think Denver certainly feels like the likely one. But you talked about John Gruden. Like, is there the two most elitist offensive minds where they're like judging somebody if they can't recite a 45-second play? Or Aaron Rodgers and John Gruden? Like, I don't know, man. Maybe that's a match made in heaven because they could finally speak one another's language.
I think it would be great. And again, all these trades sending quarterbacks back to Green Bay. If Jordan Love isn't their quarterback of the future, and he running back, they took Najee Harris out of Alabama, the most productive back of all of those that have been there since Nick Saban became their coach. 2 picks later, the Cleveland Browns took cornerback Greg Newsome out of Northwestern, so addressing that defensive secondary. Their roster looking loaded at this point. And then immediately after that, the Ravens took Rashad Bateman, 27th overall, wide receiver out of Minnesota, who was big and fast and might just be the player to help shift around the dynamics of that offense. And so right now, as we take a look at our friends at Caesars Sportsbook, they see Baltimore as the favorite in the division, with Baker Mayfield and company not far behind at all, and the Steelers just behind that. And so the reason I wanted to bring this up as I bring the crew back in here is, we're kind of done now It's funny how these things, it feels as though we have forever, and then it sneaks up on us. We had the free agency. Now we had the NFL draft. So there's a little bit of wheeling and dealing left to come. But by and large, these are the teams we're going into next season with. So as of right now, Jeff Darlington, I'll start with you. Who's the best team in the AFC North?
I believe the